Good morning, Bachelor Nation. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Live with all of our roses. I'm Lauren Zima. We are here with Christon. Christon, thank you for being here. Christon, the first contestant from Becca Kufrin's season to grace our recaps. This is very exciting.
Thank you. I feel special.
You're going to tell us everything.
We'll see.
Guys, I have so many questions for Christon, and I'm sure that you do too, so leave your comments and questions across our social platforms. I will get them here on our iPad, and we're going to dive right in, talk about last night's episode, talk about really the whole season, because you're our first. You're our first inside track. It's very exciting. Let's dive right in with this. Talk to me about watching the show back. Who is maybe the most different seeing the episodes? Like, are you seeing things you didn't see before and you're like, that guy was not who I thought he was? You know what I mean? When you start to see stuff, who is that for you?
Well, I mean, it was a few guys, because we didn't get to see, the one-on-one times with Becca. Obviously group dates, everyone talks about it, but guys maybe boast a little bit. Hey, I spent some great one-on-one. We connected. Our date was
amazing.
We connected. Then you go back and you're like, no, you guys didn't connect. I would say a few of the guys were, it kind of surprised me. I think Jean Blanc, he was one of the guys. He was actually, one of the guys I was cool with in the house, but he thought he had the connection and he didn't. So.
Do you think he really thought he had the connection? I mean, I was watching it and I'm like, there's no way this dude thinks this is real. Is he just, he's caught up in the moment maybe? When he told her, and if you guys remember, Jean Blanc loved the cologne, then he told her he made her a special perfume and that he was falling in love with her, but then he took the perfume back and said, no, I just said that.
Yeah.
That was a moment where I just felt like this guy got caught up in everything.
Yeah, I believe he got caught up. I mean, he had got the first, I think, date rose. So, that could have said a lot, and maybe he took that and ran with it from there. But, a lot of relationships build really quickly in the house. So, maybe he thought he was farther than he was, but.
I would imagine it's hard. I mean, I talk to so many of you guys, but still I just think when you're in it, it's in many ways a social experiment. Like, was being on the show what you thought that it would be?
No, I mean, I really didn't know what to expect, so everything was new for me. It was a different experience, a different world, and I mean, when you look at the playback, you're like, man, wow, did I really say that? And what was I thinking during this time? I mean, because it's a different world. It's a different animal. Yeah.
Did you come across the way that you thought you would?
For the most part, I feel like I did. I was actually pleasantly surprised how how I look back at it, and I'm like, well, that's something I probably would have done, and that's probably how I was thinking.
So many athletes on your season. You're a former Globetrotter.
Right.
We had Clay, who plays football, and unfortunately got injured. Mm-hmm. We had, I'm blanking now, but I feel like there's somebody else.
Colton.
Colton,
yeah.
Colton. Hi, Colton. And it was so unfortunate that Clay did get hurt. Were you guys blown away by that? I mean, he really just had to bow out.
Yeah, I was so I was actually very shocked. I mean, he's the football player and he got injured. Of all the people.
The irony is palpable.
Yeah, I know. What can go wrong will go wrong. So, but Clay is a good guy. I think he made a really good connection with Becca, but he had to do what's best for him in the end.
I know, and it was breaking my heart with how mature he was being about that whole thing. He's like, as a man, you have to make decisions. Like, oh my God. So I hope we see Clay on our TV screens again. So let's talk about last night's episode, and we'll pepper in some things from the rest of the season. I want to start with the guy who I just forgot. I'm so sorry, Colton, if you're watching. I adore you. Colton. So him and Becca get a one-on-one where they ride on camels. And we got our first hot tub in the desert moment of the season, which I just love when we have a hot tub in the middle of nowhere. And Colton has been somebody who, on the one hand, you're watching it and thinking, this guy seems so nice, seems so great, but of course he has a little bit of controversy surrounding him with the whole Tia thing. What was that like in the house? How much did you know about his past with Tia, and what did everybody think of it?
Well, there were conversations floating around about the Tia situation, so, I mean, we knew a little bit here and there. It was just unraveling throughout the time we were there. So every day was just something new. And so it was always like a story with Colton, and we were all guessing at the same time. So now we're seeing this, watching the playback, you're like, oh, wow. So I'm actually tuned in to seeing and hearing more about it.
So you didn't really know the full story when you were in the house?
No, a lot of stuff was kept under wraps. Colton, he was very private about it. He kept his conversations between Becca and, it didn't spread too much, but, word gets out a little bit, and we all were kind of asking and trying to figure it out.
Well, let me just ask you what you think of it, because this has been a big topic of conversation amongst fans. Is he there for the right reasons, as we say? Because even Tia said when she came on that spa date, she said, well, I think he dated me thinking I might become the Bachelorette. So people are like, is Colton into Becca? Was he into Tia? Did he just want to be on the show?
Right.
What do you think?
Well, Colton, from my standpoint, he seemed like he's there for the right reasons. He made a strong connection with Becca, and it's all about what Becca likes at the end of it, and it's the reason we're all here, and if she finds that connection, then that's great.
I think Becca is very attracted to Colton.
Yeah, she really seems really into him.
I think the chemistry is there.
Yeah. At least from the one-on-one. They seem like they're really hitting it off well.
Yeah, I think she has said he's easy on the eyes, and I'm like, hey, when you spend so little time with people and you're still figuring it all out, maybe you're like, I'm really attracted to this guy, personality-wise, I'm connecting with this guy, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Exactly.
Okay, so do you still talk to Colton? Like, are you guys friends? And what do you think?
Me and Colton, we're cool.
Okay.
We've seen each
Colton's
other.
a good guy?
Yeah, we've worked out together a few times, and he's been out here in LA.
Okay. All right, comments coming in. Jessica on Facebook says, I've been wanting Christon, and I got Christon with a bunch of heart eye emojis and high fives. Jessica, thank you for your enthusiasm. We're very happy he's here. Sarah says on YouTube, who was your closest friend from the season, and who is your top pick? Now, this is an interesting question because I think there's always a difference. Well, first we'll answer, who is your closest friend?
My closest friend on the season, I have to go with Wills.
I love Wills. I love Wills. Yeah. Yes.
Wills was my roommate too while we were there, so it was cool. And he was the best cook in the house by far. That's one thing that we have yet to see.
Seen that.
Yeah, but he was a really good cook.
I hope that he has some kind of date where he cooks for Becca. I have to say, there's been a lot of, there were a lot of athletes. It was a lot of like showing her how to, play this sport or this sport. So I'd love to see a little bit, now I'm going to cook for you, Becca. Okay, I love that. We don't have a clip from Wills, but I'm regretting not pulling one because that plaid suit he was wearing last night.
Oh, yeah, that was
what
epic.
A moment. Wills, you might become the 6th member of Queer Eye and just show everybody how to dress. He has great style. He's so nice, and I loved the way that he was just being not into Chris's drama. Like, were you watching that thinking, was he way more frustrated than he was letting on in that Chris moment? I
believe he was actually, he was being himself. He was trying to hold back a little bit because, we all have to get our time with Becca. And so it was fine. He waited his turn, and now he's like, all right, I'm not like about to lose this.
Because he timed him. He was like, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah. So I definitely understand where he's coming from.
I felt like Chris was being a little bit like, being immature in that moment, frankly, because his whole issue was, he didn't care about making the time for Becca before, and then he wanted his time, and he wanted it right now, and he didn't care if he had to move Wills out of the way to make that time happen. I don't know. I don't dislike Chris. It just felt like he got caught up in the drama, and he needed to take a step off of that train. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Chris?
I'm great respect for Chris. He was also in the room with us as well. So, no disrespect to him, but I felt like you said he got caught up in the drama, and it just got the best of him.
It did. So was last night's episode not reflective of Chris as a whole?
Well, I don't feel like it was a reflection of Chris, but you really have to make your time worthwhile, and you can't get too caught up in the drama, and now you're losing that conversation with Becca that you really want to have. So
watching Wills and Becca, how are you feeling about their connection?
I feel like it's Will's like this. He's like a sleeper, He's like a guy.
He's like a dark horse.
Yeah, exactly. And he's being himself, and he's like a mellow guy. So I'm thinking Becca's really feeling him.
Well, when you're getting the interactions she's getting with Jordan and David and Chris, Wills is probably just a breath of fresh,
and that's
calm
exactly
air.
What she said,
yeah. I loved him on the one-on-one. He really struggled when he was coming over that hill. He was really struggling in the snow. I thought he was going to fall over at one point, but he just laughed it off. And he was chill. He's chill Wills. Yeah. And then Sarah had also said, who is your top pick? So this question to me can always go one of two ways. It can be, who do you think Becca should pick, and who do you think she does pick? And tell me who you think she should pick, but also who you see her having the the strongest pull to? Is it a different person, one or the other?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can obviously see Becca, who she's gravitating to. I mean, you have people like Colton, Garrett. Garrett had the first impression. Blake, I felt like Blake had a great one-on-one date with her. Like, that was like something. And I think he called her his girlfriend at one point.
Yeah, he said, you feel like you're my girlfriend. I was like, okay, Blake is, and he's not getting caught up in things either. He's like,
he's actually been
stepping away
to himself, and he's been a quiet guy, but he's definitely making a good connection with Becca.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Garrett, because I got to ask you about this. There's been obviously controversy surrounding Garrett and his Instagram scandal. I'm sure you guys know, but if you don't, Garrett basically released a statement saying, yes, he had liked some very controversial memes on Instagram, saying he doesn't want his social media to reflect who he is and that he's learning from the whole situation.
Right.
So tell me, knowing Garrett, were you surprised by everything that kind of came out about that?
Yeah, I'm very surprised, but at the same time, I spend time with him in the house. He's very funny, very genuine guy. I feel like the reason he started his Instagram over. He ended up making a whole new page and just apologizing for what he did. I feel like he learned his lesson. And it shows he's a bigger person and he's in the public eye now. And he has to be mindful of that because those things can be offensive to people. And, I feel like, he's learned his lesson.
Well, it was a bummer to see because, we're liking Garrett on the show. We know Becca's liking him, and it's a bummer that it was all happening. Would you have thought, like, knowing Garrett in the house and talking to him, would you have thought this would have happened about him? Like, did you ever see him say or do stuff like that, or was it just a shock?
No, I definitely didn't. No, I didn't see any of this. I mean, a lot of the guys were all pretty cool. We all were, we built relationship. The bromance in the house was pretty cool. So, it was something that I didn't see coming, and I was actually shocked by it. But, we'll see how it unravels at the men tell.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, maybe he'll come back and get to say his story.
Mara says, I love that he said Wills. She loves Wills. Agree, we do too. And, while we're talking about it, let's talk a little bit about Lincoln, because that's been another issue. We saw Lincoln barely any on the show last night, just for a minute on this Wayne Newton songwriting date. But Lincoln, it's come out that he was arrested for indecent assault on a woman and convicted of the crime. So I just wanted to know, had you talked to him at all? Have you heard anything about this?
No, I definitely haven't. I'm just as shocked as you all. I've seen it on the internet as well, and that's something else I didn't see coming. And we'll definitely have to see how that unravels. I have no idea what that's about.
So he's not someone you've stayed in touch with?
No, not in that sense. Obviously in the house we all spoke, but I never spoke to him about this situation.
So he didn't mention it to anybody. It was a complete surprise to everyone.
Yeah, complete surprise. I think a lot of people are kind of shocked by it,
Yeah, well, and shocked and sad for Becca that she, that this is kind of happening to her and that she's going to have to address it. And
this has been the season so far. It's been the season.
It's been a lot. Okay, so more questions coming in for you. Tanya asked what you thought about Blake. Well, I think we've said we like Blake, but what do you think?
Blake's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really a cool guy. We had a great time while we were at the house. He played football as well in the group days. He was a genuine guy. We had good conversations. So I'm
really loving Blake. I'm low-key,
he has a different type of personality. He's a laid back guy, but he's actually very funny as well.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay, well maybe there's a side of Blake we haven't seen yet. Brian from YouTube says, Christon, if you could be on another season of The Bachelorette, whose season would you want to be on? Oh, okay. Is there anybody? Well, now that we know that you're off, maybe let's ask: is there anybody else from Bachelor Nation you're potentially interested in? It becomes a small world where people date each other quite a lot.
Right. For me, I had a great time on Becca's season, so if I could do it all over again, I would. And I felt like I have no regrets. It was fun, and hopefully I can still keep in touch with everyone, and we'll see where it goes.
Could we see you in the sun and sand of Mexico?
No, actually, I felt like I was looking for that one-on-one connection, and I definitely enjoyed that, and that was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and and that's really what I was looking for.
Okay. Are you dating anybody now? Single?
No, I'm single right now. Yeah.
Single, everybody. Follow him on social media. Your dreams could come true. We had so much love for Wills and for Blake. Also want to talk to you about the villains on this season. Jamie from YouTube said, who is the villain this season? Well, it's an interesting question because I don't think you have Do you feel there was a villain on the season? I'm leaning more towards like there were some people causing drama, but I don't know if there was a villain or is Jordan the villain?
I love Jordan. I mean,
I love watching him.
He's very entertaining.
Yeah.
He's being himself, and so some people didn't like that. I was the guy in the house who was more on the the calm. I was trying to be the calm guy, and I felt like if Becca likes that, then why is anyone in the house worried about it? Like, don't get too caught up in what Jordan's doing.
It creates a problem when you get caught up in like what's going on with the other guys. Yeah, Jordan. So let's play a little bit of this 2-on-1 date that Jordan and David had last night with Becca. In the middle of the desert on a bed, which love when they create those moments for us. I have to say, I don't know. I feel like people are hating on Jordan, but I felt like David was just as much to blame here. Yeah, he was causing just as many problems. He was talking about Jordan. He was creating issues. And it felt like Jordan sometimes went too far in defending himself. He said a few mean things, but it kind of felt to me like he was always having to play defense with David.
Yeah, I think from like night 1 or night 2, those two were going at it head to head for
Why did that happen?
I just felt like they just never had the positive energy towards each other, and they just were back and forth.
Well, we're getting one comment on Facebook asking, are you Team Jordan or Team David?
Oh, wow. No, I'm not Team any of them right now, no. I was Team Becca the entire time. So, but those two, they really had it out for each other, and I think the 2-on-1 really showed they really had their time to let it all out.
What was it like when David came back from the hospital? Because it was a little wild as a fan watching the show. You're hearing 1 minute he's in the ICU, and then he's like, I'm back. Like, wait, are you okay?
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like for you guys? Were you surprised that he came back?
We were very surprised. I did not expect him to come back, but he's a strong guy, and we were just happy that he was okay. That he was able to walk on his own 2 feet, come in there, say hello, and we see how it goes. I
mean, I've heard that it was pretty. Obviously, he was in the ICU. It was like he was.
Right.
How long was he actually out of the house for?
He was out of the house for quite a few days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It seemed faster watching it, so he's actually gone for a few days.
You have to condense everything within the 2-hour special, but. He was gone for a few days.
Okay, so he comes back and was he in pain? Was he okay?
He pretty much stayed out of the loop for a few days, even after he came back, icing down and just recovering and resting. So we understood.
So that he could keep fighting Jordan.
And so he can continue to fight Jordan, exactly.
I think he came back and he was like, I'm here for Becca and to annoy Jordan. I was like,
when he said, what's up, Jordan? I'm like,
I know.
Back at it,
why are we still doing this? Yeah. Jeanette says that Garrett is growing on her. Tia, I would imagine it's not Tia Booth, but maybe it is. Says Jordan was never mean or malicious, just kind of full of himself. He's harmless. There were a couple comments he made where he went at David's appearance and stuff like that, which I don't love. But overall, Jordan really just liked to talk about himself, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
He definitely did. I mean, sometimes you have those people who just are really into themselves, and I think if Jordan could date anyone, he would date himself.
A lot of people it kind of went viral after night 1 that Grocery Store Joe didn't get enough time on the show. Are there any guys when you're watching it and thinking you thought they would get more airtime or maybe they should get more airtime? Guys who are kind of I don't know. For example, last night, I loved watching John. He was so sweet.
Yeah.
And I felt like, this guy is
I was really cool with him as well.
Yeah. Are there any standout guys who maybe aren't getting their moment, who we could maybe see on Paradise get more of a moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the guys could have got more time, but I mean, it's very hard to condense everything in, all the conversations, and I mean, they have to have the highlight points of what she really enjoyed and the conversations that went further. I think Leo, he's one of the guys that, you didn't see much of him last night, but Leo was one of the funniest guys in the house by far. I hope that he starts to get more time. He definitely got a rose last night, so we'll start to see.
Everybody loved that moment, I think on last week when he looked to the camera after Lincoln said the earth was flat. Does Lincoln really think the earth is flat?
I don't know. Maybe that could have been for TV, or I'm not sure.
There have been some very weird rumors about, not only the rest, but some strange rumors about him online, about his bathroom habits. Have you heard these?
No, I actually haven't been looking, haven't been doing my research on those guys.
Were there any guys in the house who did, because you live with these people, know, I mean, anybody who had weird cooking habits or was super messy, just, I don't know, what do you learn about people when you're living together in the mansion?
Okay, so I think his name's Ryan, the banjo guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was an interesting guy.
How so?
Yeah, I think he slept one time. He overslept one time and missed like the date card. He just missed it or something happened on that season. But he liked to sleep a lot.
Okay, kind of a Corinne moment.
Yeah.
At least he didn't fall out of the bunk bed, I guess. I mean, did he really, David? He just fell out. He just rolled out, or what?
Yeah,
happened?
I mean, it was. From what I remember, it was just he fell and we all heard and we just ran to
You like heard him fall in the night and ran to the room.
Yeah.
And what is it like? Blood? His face
everywhere.
Is smashed
up? It wasn't really a funny thing. It was just kind of like it was a very serious moment. So and so we had the paramedics come, but we were all very kind of shocked that happened and we were just making sure he was okay, really.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened before. Like, people have been sleeping in those bunk beds for years, but somebody had to be the first to fall out. I don't know. Maybe. Anne from YouTube says, who do you think would be a good next Bachelor? Well, Anne, the tough thing is we don't know how this season has come out yet.
Yeah.
But I will say, I like Blake a lot. I don't know what's going to happen, but you mentioned that one-on-one date that Blake and Becca went on. E.T. was on set for that, and so I got to meet Blake there, and he was just so fun and sweet.
Exactly.
I loved him.
He's a cool guy.
So he's like well-liked by everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If I were to vote, I think Blake was one of the guys.
We're liking Blake?
If he had the chance to become the Bachelor, or you never know how the season plays out.
Okay.
Maybe he wins.
Alina from YouTube says, well, you are a former Globetrotter. What are you up to now?
Well, I live in Los Angeles, and I'm just, I do entertainment, I do commercials and things like that. So I'm just working on my, my career and booking jobs. I still do slam dunk contests at Venice Beach and.
Do you model? Like, could Jordan get you into modeling? Because you could model.
Yeah, I've done some modeling, but not to Jordan's level.
I got to give Jordan credit. Sometimes people just have jobs that aren't for real on this show. He really is a Wilhelmina model. Like, he has a profile on their website.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Jordan.
That's awesome. Give me a shout out.
As we said, Jordan was himself. Tanya says, I was disappointed in David. He did not handle the situation right. He is still a good guy. Well, I really want to believe that. I don't think David's a bad guy. What's your take on David?
No, I think all the guys were pretty cool for the most part. I just think they got too caught up into each other's own problems versus dealing with Becca. So I felt like the 2-on-1, they really should have taken that more seriously and, focus on her versus each other.
Well, how have you guys all stayed close? Like, a lot of the time, again, you live with people, everybody just becomes good friends, the bromances, like, is everybody still talking to each other and staying tight after the season?
Yeah, I think these guys have, the group chats and, and we all travel, so if we're in the same city, hey, let's link up and things like that.
So overall then, if you're on like the group chat, how did people react to the Lincoln thing? Was everybody shocked about it? Is he on the group chat?
Yeah, well, I'm actually not even in the group chat because I don't have an iPhone, so they don't like the green messages.
That Android moment, you're gonna be in trouble with that. Okay.
But no, we haven't really connected as far as what happened during that time or analyze that.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to find out when we do Men Tell All. We'll see how that's handled. It's not the first. I mean, on Rachel Lindsay's season, Lee Garrett and his tweets had to be addressed on the show, of course, but it's unfortunate. Well, this is a great question to end on. I love this, Sarah, on YouTube. She says, what is your favorite thing about Becca?
The favorite thing? Actually, she was very funny. She had a silly side. When we played football, me and her actually had a headstand contest and I beat her. So that's not. I hope they could play that one day. I did beat her in the headstand contest, but she was just energetic. I spoke to her and I'm like, how do you do it? There's all these guys in the house, and she's like, I actually want to get to know everyone that I can have this time with. So. I would think sometimes you just pass a guy along like no. But she actually was genuine, and she was there for the right reason. So.
She was taking the time.
Definitely
all right, awesome. Well, Christon, thank you for taking the time to be with us. And everybody, thanks so much for watching. We have a new recap, a Roses and Rosé recap of Bachelorette going up on YouTube today. And we loved getting all of your comments. Make sure to follow Christon on social media and let us know what you think as this season of The Bachelorette continues. Have a great day, everybody.